Hi, Brendan.
Happy Thursday. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Doing all right. Trying to enjoy my summer.
Yeah.
Must be Container D meeting day. How's it going today, Derek?
Yep, you know it. Good.
I need to start putting that one on my calendar so I know when folks are going to show up.
Well, I think we're gonna try to move it to every other week, so maybe it'll show up here more.
So you'll show up twice the number of me? Like,
I
or are you
guess
going to
am I showing
say,
up like once a month now? I'm sure.
and Ofek, am I pronouncing that right? I don't remember seeing you around here very often.
Yeah, yeah, it's my first meeting. I just looked online and wanted to maybe be involved in the community. I'm an AI engineer and working with Rust as well. So I just here to join, to learn, to listen.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Thanks.
We might have an interesting one on the agenda today for that. Video going here in a second. There we go. And I'll do a screen share. Why not? Alrighty. What do you say we kick this thing off today? So, not a big agenda, but figured I'd throw a few things on there, get some conversations going. The normal things have been sitting out there for a while now. The conformance test redesign's been sitting there looking for reviewers. I know this is a big one, Derek. But anytime folks have to get a chance to go and review this and say yay or nay on what we're doing here, it's a pretty major redo just so that we can have stuff ready as people want to start making other changes to the spec. It makes the conformance test a whole lot easier to manage, in my opinion.
You tell me, is it ready to go?
It's looking for reviews. We're ready.
I run
If we
it
get it,
all the time, and it's mostly not, well, it's incredibly frustrating to be honest, but it's a good frustrating.
I've heard Tianon say that it's kind of almost gamified his side to try to get the results up.
It's oddly motivational in some ways.
And are there things in there, Jeff, that it's saying that are wrong, or it's just catching things that you need to update on your side?
I would say for the most part, things that we needed to fix. So, good in that regard. I think there's still a few false positive things I think that we can maybe come up with after the fact, but overall it's been yeah, very very solid. A
Okay.
good change to put out.
If there's anything in there you want to get tweaked before we merge it, feel free to chime in on the PR. You may have already thrown something in there. I mean, you threw one item in there. I feel like there was another one that you were saying before about how it was doing maybe the refers or something like that.
Yeah, I think there was yeah, I think on refers where it's immediately waiting for because yeah, I think we had done an implementation of refers where it's essentially eventually consistent update
Yeah.
on the refers, and this was doing an immediate, hey, I push it and then it comes back versus needing to do like a sleep or something to kind of let's wait a few seconds before testing or pull it a couple times. But in general, I think it's a good start and we can kind of tweak it after.
Okay.
Just curious, do you guys run it against local dev or like local development or like the actual registry?
Either.
Both, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's similar to the previous conformance test where you get to specify in the README. It'll tell you, expand that. It will tell you you can specify, here's my registry name, here's the repos I want you to use, here's the username I want you to log in with. And so you can point that local or remote wherever you want to.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
And
And
in
the repos
variables, it
include-
also takes a YAML file as well.
I see. So I have to create the repos to begin with. Like,
It depends on your registry. Some registries make you create a repository ahead of time. Others will create it dynamically.
okay.
You just need to specify it.
Cool.
And these are all the defaults. So if you don't specify it, it will try to use this name.
I see. Thank you.
Mhm.
So we talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago. I remember there was some discussion around the versioning on the action. Do you feel as though that's been resolved? Do you feel comfortable with how that is today?
I feel that what we are doing in this is better than what we are doing today.
Okay.
And so it's a net improvement. If people want to make a farther improvement on top of that, then we can go that direction. But this moved the version into a configuration in here where you specify that I want to run the OCI API version, whatever. And when you do that, it will default all the spec values, all the API tests and everything to those versions of the spec,
Okay.
which lets us, after the fact, update things that we can test that we might want to in the future.
Okay. So users of the action today would need to add that in potentially.
Yeah, today, if users didn't do that, this would just run with a default, which is whatever the current stable is at the time that you pulled this. And today, what
Okay.
they are doing is they are pinning to the GitHub tag, which means once we release the distribution spec with whatever version, we can't change the conformance test to fix any bugs or anything after the fact. So
Gotcha.
this would be a change from that.
Okay. I think we talked about that. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's something we could add to the README later. Yeah, I mean, I stand by, I'm not going to do a line by line review of this. I assume you don't want a obnoxious AI review with 1,000 nits to go and fix.
I got one of those already from Sam in the past. If you want to do that and send it over to me, I'll take a look at it.
If folks are testing this, my philosophy is usually let's just get it merged. And we can this isn't getting immediately tagged, but I would
Yeah.
usually aim toward let's get it merged, and we can correct things if we need to. Like it's
Yeah.
so
This is a big one. It is doing everything it can be to be backward compatible. So after we merge it, if anybody is running right against head on the distribution spec and doing the conformance test against that, hopefully I didn't break anything. Well,
okay.
hopefully I didn't break anything in terms of them running it, it'll probably find stuff that they didn't know they had broken in the past.
Which is fun.
Yeah. I don't mind finding new stuff and saying, hey, we started testing all this new stuff that we didn't test before and we found all these things. But where I'm going with that is I've got the old version of all these variables here in some kind of backward compatibility. So I'll go and look for the old version of all the variables if you're using the previous version of the conformance test, which can even be seen somewhere over in the action, I think. And somewhere in here, I go looking for the old version of the variables. Yeah, the OCI root URL, OCI namespace, those are the old version of the variables. So
Yeah.
if those are there and you don't have the new version, I'll at least use those to set things up. But like I say, if you feel like sending me over an AI review,
No, I don't actually.
I will I will look
My-
at any feedback I can get on this thing at this point. That's my philosophy. But yeah, the more reviews, the merrier.
No, there's a button I can press to request a Copilot review,
Yeah.
and it'll make your life fun. I mean, Copilot reviews aren't bad if you also have an AI that's addressing the Copilot review, then, but manually handling those is a pain.
Reviewer versus reviewer.
Yeah. Just say if Mike wants to see Mike's in here now. If Mike wants to put an LGTM on it, I don't mind putting an LGTM on it and just getting it merged. Does that give you anxiety if I said I merged it?
That would be amazing. I would love it.
All right, let's do it. Oh, Mike's side.
Conformance, reviewing, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Got it.
So there you go, Mike. You've got your mission now.
Understood. Reviewing now.
Yeah, I think
All right, should I sign out? Can I sign off now? Because
yeah, just hit looks good to me and approve. And hey, look at that. Derek already hit approve. So Mike, it's all up to you.
Oh, okay. We'll take a look.
I think we've reviewed this has been reviewed enough.
I've reviewed it once or twice, but not with a critical eye.
I remember in the past you looked at it when it was in draft state and you're like, it's still in draft. I'm only glancing at it. So it's been out of draft for long enough, I think.
Right. Yep. All right, I'm on it.
Yeah, my main concerns would be the action YAML changes, which look good, and there's no spec changes, so no concerns there.
Yeah, I pulled those out into a separate PR, and that one got merged. All right, the other one here for our distribution spec maintainers is the extension spec. So this one, it got approved from me, which we just rephrased it. Before we had a very explicit, you will use an underscore extension followed by a component, followed by a module, that little triplet there of every API call you do, and everything after that must be a question mark, key equals value, pass some more parameters into it. And Jeff suggested, and I already kind of agreed before he even suggested it, that we just make it an underscore extension. And after that, everything after that is just up to whoever's building the extensions. And hey, ideally you do it so you don't break stuff in your own, extension namespace. But under that, we don't care, is the philosophy of this PR. And that's one that I can get kind of agreed to. Sorry, Derek, go ahead.
No, I said I like not caring.
Not caring is the best.
And also to call out, this is sort of just documenting what is already the case out there in the real world today. This isn't that new. This is documenting the state of the world.
People have already been doing chaos, is what you're saying. Not that Jeff would ever do something like that.
The line right below it even says this, the leading underscore on the extension is a prefix before the regular expression. So it's already a thing, kind of.
Yeah, so we defined the string and said, hey, there's an underscore in the extension, all this stuff, and we defined a very specific string. But in the reality, it's just if there's an underscore in that, as soon as you hit that in the path, you're no longer in OCI land, you're in some person's custom extension land, and the rules change to whatever they need.
So I guess, Derek, the thing that was more conflict is on line 27 there on the left, where it must be followed by a component and then a module. And that's essentially saying everything must be underscore extension with a component,
Yeah.
with a module, and those are always static values. What we've seen, I'll even, yeah, ChainGuard is doing this. This is something that came up in the tag history spec, is essentially doing a component that's tag history and then module is a dynamic tag, which per this spec is not a valid extension.
Yeah.
Because the module is not a static value. So this is essentially just saying, yeah, anything after the extension is up to the extension author to define as, best practice API design as they want.
Yeah, sounds good. I remember having this discussion last time we were here, and I agreed with that. So
Oh
I'll
boy,
put
I
another
see.
approve on there if Mike wants to do like crazy merge, then
It's too late. It's going.
do it.
Done. Alrighty. So now, Mike, you only have to worry about one thing. Oh no. No, it's just blocked because I need another. Okay. I was afraid I had to rebase. Okay. I was about to say no.
Mike found a typo.
Oh, did you?
No, he's
Okay.
pulling your leg.
Okay.
I was
All right.
waving my hands saying I don't want to push my stack, and I forgot I was on mute because they're rebuilding my roof. So
Oh, good
And
times, good times. So this one hit, I mean, this is a issue over in CNCF where they're doing some stuff. It is also a PR where they're updating their description and everything.
hmm.
I saw them going around to every group out there except OCI. Like OpenSSF, they started chiming in over there. I saw them over in SigStore saying, hey, SigStore folks, we want you to look at this thing. They went to pretty much 24 channels over in the CNCF Slack and started sending their message saying, hey, Harper folks, hey, Dragonfly folks, all the different projects that had anything to do with any kind of registry or anything at all. Like, we want you to look at this. No one's chimed into the OCI team, though. So I was like, I'll at least make people aware of this thing that's going on
what
over
are they
there.
trying to do?
I think they're trying to define an artifact, but I haven't read it close enough to be sure. But my impression is they're trying to define an artifact for their AI tooling needs. And so I would have to spend some time to really dig into this. But I figured it would be at least worth broadcasting over the OCI folks. Hey, FYI, someone's trying to make an OCI compliant tooling and packaging thing. Maybe some OCI people should spend some time looking over this just to make sure we're good.
So I guess inner loop means human loop.
I got the impression they were talking about it from, yeah, local container stuff. They're talking about more on the laptop the first half before it goes to production. So before CI and everything else kicks off, this is
Okay, so
the
it's
the first
locality.
half. So yeah, those are the big things to review. This will take longer than we've gotten this meeting today to really dig into. But Ofek, I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name. This might be an interesting one for you since you're in the AI space to see how people are using OCI downstream from us.
Hi. So you say it correctly, OFEC. Can you please send me a link to that? I will check it
Sure.
out. I don't know
Yeah.
to say anything about something I didn't like go into like deep details. But I would love to go over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
dropped I dropped it in the Zoom chat there for you. So feel free to have a look at that. And
Thank you very much.
yeah. All right. Two other things I left on our agenda today. One is an alternate word for reference. Because if we look at distribution spec today, we say reference in here, and we're using reference in a very different way than what everybody else is using. Well, not that reference, config, blob reference, descriptor. We use a reference in this thing when we say a manifest, and then after the manifest, we say it's a reference. And we're referring to either
Ooh,
a
don't call
tag
it
or a digest.
referrers though. Different
Now
than
you're just trolling
referrers.
me.
That's okay, sorry.
Now you're just trolling me.
Well, you said referring to, but I don't know
Okay.
if that's what the reference isn't referring to a referrer though. Okay.
It is not.
I'm trolling, sorry.
Ay, 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 ay. But I'd love to change this word. And so if anybody's got some ideas of a new word we should use in place of this so that we don't have this language overlap between what's an OCI and let's see, I've got it over in TRB, right? TRB. I don't want to switch tab. I just want to open a tab. Until I got too many tabs open when they're not even on the screen here. Do have the idea for some kind of reference spec. This is the only main reason to pull this up is because I want to chat about this next. They kind of go together. And I haven't looked at this for so long, I want to update this. And so I wanted to go back and tweak it a little bit. Do I have an example in here? I mean, I got a lot of example stuff in here, but I don't know if I have this string in here specifically, but the reference string that we all know and love, which is the registry port number, if you've got one, slash repository tag, that string that everybody uses that we don't have a standard for just yet. I like to keep that word for that meaning. And so that's why I'm thinking to change the distribution spec so that we don't use this word where it means something different to other groups.
So that would be tag or digest?
Yeah, some word that means tag or digest. We can just say tag or digest. That would be one option.
Yeah, I feel like we end up putting that all over the place. It's just tag or digest.
I mean, it's not many more letters than reference.
Word. Well, yeah, you just define new terms and just put that up at the top.
Not image reference or
Like an identifier, pointer. They're words we can use. Everyone's going to hate whatever we pick, but I figure if we brainstorm it, we at least get 2 or 3 people that are bought into it.
I mean, the tag or digest is because like, well, on container D side, we might call it like an identifier, but it could actually be tag at digest as well, which is explicitly different than here. So it could be
Yes.
tag or digest or tag and digest, which is
Instance.
this is tag X or digest.
How about instance? Mike's frowning. Okay. Come on, Mike.
But
What do you got?
My opinion on this one, just make sure you define the definite, set the definition right.
Yeah.
For this spec document.
I-
Yeah, you're
we
right.
need
It's
to
an
have that.
overloaded term. You can add more words there each time you say reference,
Yeah. I mean, we've got words up top.
but no,
But definitely
no
we-
reference.
Wait, go back up. Was it
There's no
reference on the
definition
bottom
of
there?
reference.
there is no reference in here.
So
We've got
add
digest.
that there,
We
and
got
then
tag.
right.
Tag or digest.
Is there like a fully qualified reference versus just a reference? I mean, is it the other one that needs to change names and not this one?
I'm demanding that we make reference be the same thing as fully qualified reference.
Unfully qualified reference? Partially qualified reference. That's what we should call it. There we go.
We can abbreviate it preference.
This is not confusing. It's great.
You could literally have you could have put like reference prime if you want, Brandon, to and then or link it to the definition or it's always been a reference.
Well, it's always been that on our side, but then everybody else uses something different for reference, and we're both playing the same, I don't want to say namespace because that's an overloaded word too, but yeah, the same ecosystem.
Hmm.
So I'm leaning towards something like an identifier, but that's a little bit overloaded. So I'm thinking instance because I don't think we have many people using instance in other places, and it's kind of the idea here. Manny Pointy, yeah. Jeff's got all the good ideas.
It's my strategy. If I throw out 100, one of them might stick.
I'm asking AI for ideas.
I was waiting for the point face. Thank you, Brian.
The AI suggestions are identifier, locator, selector, or tag or digest. There we go.
Doesn't container use locator there, at least internally?
I think we do use locator. And somebody came up with that name without AI, which is crazy.
Yeah,
So,
or at least we
almost
think they
wonder-
did.
Where do you think AI came
That's
up
what I was
with?
going to go
Yeah.
with. AI is just
Oh,
looking through the
yeah.
container decode.
Yeah.
That could be true.
Yeah, I think container has host, locator, and something else.
Okay. So all the ones I've come up with so far, locator, selector, identifier, tag or digest instance.
Or
Should I?
define the term.
Hang on. Gotta include one more. There we go. Point face. Gotta include that.
And handle, add that in there too, might as well.
And partially qualified reference. A PQR, poker.
Only to satisfy the trolls in the room, just because, we gotta have a little fun now and then.
Partially qualified.
This is the only reason you guys show up to this meeting. If I don't put this in there, no one will show up. So there we go.
Yeah, I think
all right.
calling it version is not good because that doesn't help
that's a
for
bad one.
revisions kind of the same.
What about resolver?
Resolver, okay.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm questioning. I don't know.
Good idea. Overloaded.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
we
taking
use
this
that
is
term
this is
somewhere
brainstorming. I
else.
will take all suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting though, because I think even in the future, like to the point where we have a tag and a digest, if someone actually does request a manifest by tag and digest, and that digest was never pointed at by that tag, would it be okay for the registry to reject it then? Like, should we actually be, because right now, like, this is not supported, but in the future, it could actually be a useful thing.
I think that's a future Jeff problem.
Most things are, unfortunately, but I just, yeah, to the point of like maybe not making it explicitly say this is a tag or a digest, but keeping it more
Yeah.
generic thing that could change.
Well, tag is pretty generic already.
Oh, but is it? We actually define tag. We got a whole regex for tag.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Or-
adding another type in there, that's because yeah, the parsers today are kind of, if it's first, it's going to look to see, is it a digest? And if it's a digest, then fall back to whatever tag or tag regex you got.
Mhm.
Is a digest considered a pseudo tag?
I guess that's up to the registry implementation, I would say.
I mean, but by all these things, like we implement, I mean, it's the same thing. It's pointing to the actual blob of the manifest data. Like it's a reference to.
Yeah, but the digest actually has a character in there that we don't have in the tag regex.
Oh, you're getting dangerously close to my next topic.
Just rip off the Band-Aid. What's the next topic?
The next topic is, hey, we've got all these characters in here for a tag. We got other characters for the digest, the SHA colon character set there. There is a regex for that somewhere. Might even be over here as well, but I know it's over in the image spec. What if we had a character that said, when you're making a reference with your, I'm just going to define it over here since we can't, I don't think I had it in another place. So you got the registry colon port slash repo path colon tag. What if we had another character that was like implementation extension? And we did it with like a pound sign or some other character in there that just said, hey, when you see this, this part of the reference is no longer explicitly going to be in OCI and whenever we define it, if we define it. So everything after that pound sign is whatever you want to do and is in your own syntax. People have thoughts if we were to implement something like that, or if I
To
was
add
to
to add
if I was to
uniqueness.
recommend that. So my thought is to recommend that as part of my updating this PR for the working group spec and just say, hey, we're going to do this, and we should also specify in there how we can have extensions that are outside of whatever we're standardizing. That way people can go through and do their tweaks and adjustments and everything going forward in the future, knowing that they won't get stepped on in the future by namespace collisions, character collisions.
What's the limitation of what can be in that?
So today, once there's an underscore in the path, everything after that in the registry has no limitation. It's just in whatever the registry implementation wants to do. In the future, if we were to make the definition for a reference, everything after the pound sign would be outside of our view, and so there wouldn't be a limitation. It's just whatever the implementation wants to do with it.
Yeah, I said because we also use the @ sign
Yep.
to differentiate the tag in the, so it would potentially be like if you had an @ after the pound sign, then you would just have to parse them in a specific order, first split by either first split by @ or first split by pound.
Yeah. My thought is that the pound would always be the last one in there.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay.
Of course, Mike is typing very slowly, and we're all waiting to see what wisdom he's coming up with here.
I'm just wondering like what would we do with that?
So my philosophy is I'm thinking about using this for if I want to point to a pull-through proxy and also specify the namespace of the upstream proxy, or if I want to reference content in an OCI layout and that OCI layout has something there. It's not just a tag, but it is a fully qualified registry colon whatever add to an upstream repository, but I want to have some kind of pointer to an OCI layout.
Okay, so this isn't intended to be stored as like part of the tag necessarily.
Not part of the tag. Like I say, this is implementation specific of what they're doing with it, but some kind of extra tweak in there that someone could use as they're putting
So this
stuff.
is it's applying to the whole reference, not to the, it's not a modifier on the tag, you're saying.
It's not a modifier on a tag. It is a tweak on whatever the parser is for the reference that they need to do something that we couldn't put in the reference itself. And I will say there is an implicit up here. There is an implicit scheme that a lot of projects have been doing.
Yeah,
Are
we
we
fill that
looking
in
at,
as dummy on containerd.
yeah, are we looking at passing this through like as arguments or like, hey, this is probably what you want to pull?
I'm looking at the parser is already written that's got this syntax in here. And if I was to add an extension on my side, I want to make sure that in the future, OCI isn't going to pick that same character for something they want to do. Yeah, the command line and the CLI with a pound sign there will be fun. They've already got fun. People should probably consider quoting some of these strings. It could also be a question mark or something like that. That would even be other chaos. But the other place is YAML files. The pound sign YAML file also goes off into comment land, so it'd be good to just quote the string. That way it doesn't get interpreted as a comment. Query parameters on references, yeah.
I mean, I think most of these are going through a URL parser. As you're saying, the scheme is implicit, but like when we
Yeah.
parse it on containerd, we add a scheme to it, just a dummy
Mhm.
scheme, and then we send it through the URL parser already. So
I go the
I
exact
think
opposite direction.
you strip the
I look at the scheme, I kind of pull that off. I look for stuff up to the port number and everything. I start pulling that off.
yeah,
I think I
we
go
just
with the original distribution spec implementation of reference and work backwards.
yeah, I think it's just parsing the host name and port using the standard library to do that makes a lot of sense.
The comments are all in troll land right now. Ampersand is just extra chaos. We could throw backticks in there.
Well, if you do just support it as query parameters, that's not, I don't know if it's that bad. If we're just talking about how references potentially get sent around. The reason why I don't like any of that on the containerd side is because we like to use the original value as the name of the image rather than trying to worry about how the resolver is getting used. So anything that you would put in there, we would likely just end up storing as part of the image reference.
And so this would be implementation specific. Containerd is warden free to say all the references on our side do not have any implementation extensions in there. And so don't do that.
Yeah, but are the point of these extensions to get put into, say, the distribution layer to have some interpretation? You said like if they're referencing specific proxies or
I
something
would
like
say
that.
no. It is something that goes into the client directly, and the client parses that off and then does whatever it needs to do with it at that point, and then it
Oh,
should not
okay.
go upstream.
I think that's fine then. Yeah.
And so containerd as a client can say, hey, you want to pass us extra data? This is how you can do it. Or is free to say, no, we don't want to do any of that.
I mean, we don't technically on containerd we don't have a client except for nerdctl anyways, which would handle that. So, but could,
But like
yeah.
CRI or something like that could at some point say, hey, want to pass some extra string here for the image name in the CRI.
Yeah, CRI pre-parses the references before going to containerd anyways, though. It uses short references that we don't have any concept of in containerd.
There you go. All right. Well, I didn't hear anybody screaming in pain at the pound sign, so I might actually try that. Yeah, Sajay is cautiously optimistic. Are you thinking of how you can potentially use that in something like ORS?
I mean, I, I wasn't sure how we can, I mean, query parameters sort of seems to be the most asked thing in multiple places that I've seen before. So that's kind of like what Jeff was saying. Um, Once it kind of gets out of hand, where do we store this? Where do we save this? How is it going to get passed around? And to Brian's point, now we have to make sure that the CLI handles it. A lot of places the parser needs to get changed though. Unless the use case is super crisp, or at least we define that, hey, this might not even go through. It gets a little hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I see Jeff putting a TTL on stuff that they want to push to a registry and they want to pass query parameters there. And that would go upstream somehow, which would be a whole different challenge. But thinking of like for us, if someone wanted to say like pull this image and have a timeout on the thing instead of an extra argument that could be part of the image name, that I'm throwing out random ideas, but stuff like that of how they want to interact with the client could potentially get passed in that string.
I mean, I kind of like the query parameters approach because it would be a clear like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe we wouldn't send that directly, but it'd be a set of like key value pairs
Options,
that
yeah.
we could send along with the image and let the resolver, the whatever's doing the registry interaction, just pass it there and it can do something.
So if we went with query parameters, that could be something that is officially OCI, and that could be done in a way that doesn't interact with the implementation extensions. Since we've already picked one character, we can pick another character.
I mean, sure. I mean, I think your thing of, yeah, just have it be a full URI and define how parts of that URI get used. I think that's fine.
Does the @ sign break the URL parsers? Could have sworn that got interpreted as a username password separator.
Only if it's part of the registry name.
Okay.
That's why I said that's why we use the standard library URL parser, because it can differentiate between components that are in the host port, whatever, versus parts that are in the path. In the path, it's pretty open.
So once we're past that first slash, the @ sign is part of the string. Got it.
Yeah, and I think the pound would take precedence over like any path components that are inside of it, which I assume you could have path components inside of it.
Yep. Indeed, I can. All right, I feel like that's enough brainstorming for one day. Anybody else have stuff you want to chat about today? Got extra time here if we need it.
I think that if we're talking about query params, it's important to distinguish there is a two separate implementation for those.
Say more.
So if you go, for example, to okay, if you go to the npm package called QS and another npm package, it's called query dash params. I don't know the official names for those specs, but they are not the same. A query string. Okay, sorry. Maybe
Query
I'm
string.
yeah, probably. So
I'm
I
not an
know
NPM
both
user,
of
so
them.
this is
Excuse me?
I'm not an NPM user, so this is a foreign land for me. But go ahead.
So just go to usage for both of them, and I'm quite, if I remember correctly, they're implementing stuff a bit differently. If you go to the QoS one, go down until we see like a string implementation. You see like nested stuff in a bracket of inside a bracket, and I think in query string is a bit different.
Yeah, I think the bracket in there, that would entirely be implementation specific though. So an implementation could say we want to have an array inside of our query parameter. Well, wouldn't it be a query parameter at that point? Because the extension wouldn't be after the question mark, it would be after the pound sign. So that would
Yeah,
be
I'm just
the,
talking about the specification itself. Maybe it's worth to
yeah.
dig into like the difference between specifications of query params and the question of like, do you also want to support like deep nested objects or just like flat object? Sorry about
I like key
raising so
value
many
pairs.
questions.
Yeah.
What?
I said I like key value pairs usually for those, and like if you want to interpret it as like a nested object, however that is, then leave that up to the whatever's
Yeah, I
managing
agree.
I
I
it.
mean,
just
the way
raising
they
the
implement
question
it,
now.
it is a key value, but the key is just got a bunch of brackets in it.
So this is QS. If I think if you go to query string, I think it's a bit different implementation. Is it? Let's see for an object. It can here you see. Yeah, yeah. No, that's an object. Go up a bit. You see there is an object. The key is token, and the value is secret. But in the same object, the name. So here you need, if I understand correctly, you need both of the values of the object to be like after the pound sign together. And in the QS, I'm assuming you don't need them together. Um, and again, I'm not an expert for query string specifications, but if you want to like research, like if we want to go deep into that, so I think there is a bit more research to be done.
I've definitely seen the syntax where you have the brackets or an index in there and various implementations of this. But I'm
So
still
I
going to
think
go with that.
we're,
I'm still going to go with I think this is going to be very implementation specific, where if we're talking about the extension, then that's up to the extension to define on their side. And if we in OCI decide to define the query parameters, we can jump on that when we get to that point. We're not there yet. That would involve us actually coming up with a query parameter that does have to have some kind of more advanced syntax than just a key equals value. But it's a good call out.
Yeah, I don't know if Go has any special processing for those. I mean, certainly the case where like you have multiple values for the same key, you end up with like not just key value, but key to value array. But I think how Go stores them today. Um, but if you explicitly put an index in there, I think that would be a completely separate mechanism for parsing.
Yeah, because over on our side,
One use case maybe it's worth thinking about is we've had this challenge where we would like to tell clients to pre-hydrate or pre-populate an image from an upstream source, but we don't want to go through pull or head because pull or head is kind of like trying to get it and might fail, and head is more like you don't want to cause a change of the registry when the head is called. So, but the reference is pretty much the same, right? Like everything from the first part of the reference is, hey, this image, this tag exists or not, but we want to get some operation associated with that. So every time we've gone down this conversation, we've ended up with we need to invent yet another API that looks exactly like what repository digest tag looks like, and then we need to kind of make that pop happen. So if we had an option to do query parameters, or we had an option to kind of like have behavior as a part of the reference, then we can have clients like pass through if possible. Again, that's just throwing an idea out there. If but if people have other recommendations, then maybe that'll also be an interesting discussion. Like maybe it should not be on the reference; it should be like an API. That getting that idea across is also helpful. The primary thing is we're seeing constant pattern across GAR, ACR, and ECR, where upstreams are always other registries, right? And then how do you indicate to these proxies that we want the content, but a pull is sometimes goes through a bunch of hoops to kind of get the authentication working and all the stuff, and it might time out. So that is where we're kind of stuck right now. So I don't know if that context helps.
So you could pass extra data inside of the query parameter that would get passed to the registry. That would solve some of those challenges.
Yes. So we know it's not a pull operation because there's only two operations right now that's in the spec right now. And maybe that is another operation. So if people tell that, hey, should be another class of problems, then that's fair as well. But I just want to put it out there because, like you said, right now there's no other option. There's no flexibility in what we can do with the reference.
Sounds good. Now, Mike, you're passing this one along to us as well here.
Yeah, just an FYI. There's a KEP in Kubernetes. I mentioned this to Derek earlier today. What they're doing is SEC comp and AppArmor profiles are being loaded as artifacts down to the local host, and then those security profiles are then applied to pods and containers. Not using the refers API, right? It's just using an image, a single layer image as a profile file. Okay.
Cool.
There's
Thanks
no
for passing it
DAG.
along.
It's going to have issues.
It's going to have issues.
It's you know my old conversation, right, about do we actually bring these artifacts into the containers, right, themselves? Do we have a pod spec where we define the kinds of things?
I
Right?
was about to say it's at some point it's going to go back to a pod spec here.
Yep. With otherwise the image itself you can't have a unique security profile already assigned by the person pushing the image, right? Instead, the Kubernetes API modifies the security profiles if they want to go beyond the container runtime default security profiles. Just a heads up, somebody might be interested in this space. If you want to put your artifacts hat back on.
I'm updating your name, Mike. Mike Podspec Brown.
Hey, I have to mention it at least once every time I show up, right? I know.
I love it.
Great work group. All right.
One of these days it is going to happen and you're going to get all the credit for all of your hard work trying to make it happen for way too long.
No. Doesn't work that way. There is no credit. It's open source.
If you keep saying it enough, it will happen. Go for it.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks for passing this along, Mike. Be sure to take a look at it. I know landlock has been happening a lot. I saw movement on that from the Go team this past week. I think it might actually be getting adopted into the spec here might be merged into or approved in the future changes in Go in the not too distant future. If anyone doesn't know that, let me see if I can find that before we run out of time.
Of course, we're not just Go, but yeah.
Yeah, but in the Go themselves, they've got, let me see if I can find it real quick here. they've got their meeting agenda thing where they say, hey, we've approved and whatever, all these different changes to our minutes here. And I will pass this link along here in a second. Syscall command go. I thought I saw a landlock in here. I thought I saw it might be, yeah, process sandboxing. There it is. Likely accept. That's the 1 week warning that it is getting ready to go into the Go. Like someone will start implementing it once this proposal gets accepted. And
Don't you just
so,
love how many people are using the word sandbox?
isn't it great? But yeah,
They
they're
all mean
specifically talking
something
about
completely
landlock.
different, but yeah, okay.
They are specifically talking about landlock, and they want to have some better APIs inside of Go to use landlock. And so, yeah, cool to see this coming down at the same time. All these other things are happening on your side.
Should I bring up the difference of interpretation between sandboxing for container world and the Go world? Because
I
it's
I
very
feel
disappointing
like
the way the OS route was implemented.
I I want to hear you bring up ArrowFS.
I was going to bring it up this week, but we have I mean, I've run into this issue though, just between with ArrowFS, everything is nice from you can open the ArrowFS file and you get an actual root file system. But if you use the Go OS package and do open root, it is not a root file system. It is a file system that is just make sure everything is under that specific root, and the interpretation of symlinks is not within the context of that root. And that's causes a little bit of issues. And there was a huge long back and forth with Cypher about this, and the conclusion was the Go team was like, well, that's the container use case. We're not trying to implement the container use case. So I wonder how much of that gets down to every time these new things come in. It's like they're not trying to give us anything.
Just when you thought you had victory there.
Yeah, but yeah, from the container D side, we're trying to move to using the Go fs.fs interface for things. And we have a nice ArrowFS library that works nice with it, but the Go library does not work nice with it, ironically.
I've got that on my side as well that I want to start playing with that. So you give me fun stuff to look forward to.
I'm working on the image conversions right now. So we merged a draft spec of a draft image spec, working on the conversions, and I'll probably send it out to some folks that might be interested in it soon. But yeah, I mean, that's basically just trying to implement what we have in the draft there. But that's including stuff like the chunking and the DM Verity and stuff like that.
Cool. All right. Well, on that note, we ran the full hour. I didn't think we were going to do it. I only threw a couple of agenda items on here just for the meeting. So go team. Till next week. Hope you all have a great rest of your week, and next week treats you well and you stay cool out there. And thanks for joining. See you next time.
Later.
Cheers.
You Mike.
See you, Sajay. Yeah. So you're interested. Yeah, these caps they fly in and they're related, right? And we'll need Windows implementations for a lot of this.
So there's been a little bit of an org change on my side. I've actually taken up a lot of the Kubernetes upstream contribution team. So I will probably show myself on that side also. And I've kind of like already reached out to Mo from my team who's on that cap already. So I'll follow up.
Sweet. All right.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
I know. It's like we're
it's
all
overlapping.
in the same circle.
It's overlapping. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of overlaps.
Happy
All right,
working
man.
more. Thanks.
Yep. Cheers.